Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Cam, and we have reached the end of my Villeneuve series. I have covered every Denis Villeneuve movie from Polytechnique through Arrival and Blade Runner 2049 in honor of Dune coming out this October. If you'd like to check out the reviews leading up to this one, there will be a playlist link in the eye in the right hand corner. But for now, let's close things out by talking about my favorite movie of 2017, Blade Runner 2049. This movie starred Ryan Gosling, Harrison Ford, Dave Batista in a brief role, Robin Wright, and others, and this is the sequel to the legendary Blade Runner released in 1982, which in turn was based off of the Philip K. Dick story To Android's Dream of Electric Sheep. This movie picks up 30 years after the events of the original Blade Runner, and if you can believe it, things have gotten even worse. Ecosystems have completely gone the way of the dodo bird, and everything is basically being hung on by technology and machines, basically. Most of them owned by the newly found Wallace Corporation, whose head is played by Jared Leto. They've created a new brand of replicants who are more likely to obey human commands, and the older replicants, specifically of the Rick Deckard vintage, are being hunted down or retired by a new brand of Blade Runners. This is where we meet Kay, played by Ryan Gosling, who is tasked with taking out one of the last remaining replicants that was before the blackout, as they call it. However, while doing his job, Kay discovers a secret that could destroy everything and whatever's left of this brave new world. People have been trying to make a Blade Runner sequel since the 90s. There was people who were trying to get it off the ground but never could. Ridley Scott was involved, but that never got off the ground. It was a mess. But after many years and many cuts, we finally got a definitive Blade Runner sequel, which picks up directly after, or 30 years after, I should say, the events of the original Blade Runner. When I first saw this, I had seen the original Blade Runner only once. It was for a college class that I took called Scientific Themes in Film. It was a great class. I appreciate the original Blade Runner today, but back when I watched it for the first time, I was like, okay, that was good, but I didn't really think all that much of it. Then when I saw 2049, my head just exploded. Even though this movie was a financial disappointment, I loved it. I loved everything about it. So much so that, bit of a side road, when I used to work at my local movie theater, my manager would collect all the posters that we would hang outside and basically let us have the pick of the litter, and the rest were getting thrown out. And the Blade Runner 2049 original theatrical poster was among them. I grabbed that thing like it was going out of style. Hopefully I will remember to do this, but directly to my left, your right, is the poster. See, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, I can always see Jared Leto's weird-looking face in my peripheral. The point is, I loved this movie, and rewatching it, yeah, my love for this movie has not waned. However, now that I reviewed Blade Runner for the AFI project, and now that I have this one in mind, and I have both fresh in my memory, I will say that I like the original just a bit more. It's like a 1A, 1B situation. They're both excellent, though. I would be completely remiss if I did not bring up the cinematography, because the cinematography, again, is almost too good to be true. This is Roger Deakins back at it again, and I swear, that man could film a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and it would just be the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. I joke, of course, but every shot in this movie is so unbelievably good that it's just, like, it's almost a sensory overload, but in the best way possible. While I do miss the more lived-in Los Angeles of 2019, the Los Angeles of 2049 feels bleaker and darker. I don't think that city had seen a sunny day in a very long time. It's either raining or snowing, or maybe a combination of the two, I don't know. And because everything's run by technology now, it feels like there's nothing really fun to do anymore except, have your virtual girlfriend, I guess. I mean, that's what Kay does with Joy, played by Ana de Armas. Though I will admit the Wallace Corporation sound, it's actually quite catchy. But what impressed me more than anything is just how much practical stuff is in this movie. Yes, there is CGI, and that was pretty much inevitable. However, a lot of these scenes looked like they were done on actual locations, which, if that was the case, I mean, that's just beautiful. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is when Kay meets Rick Deckard for the first time, and it's in this old-timey casino with the roulette wheel and the VR experience with Elvis going in and out. I mean, it's great stuff. This movie feels lived in. Like, it lived in to a certain, even worse degree than in the original. Can we all universally agree that Roger Deakins has never shot anything bad in his life? Yes? That's what I thought. And then you have the cast, which is, of course, really good. There's Ryan Gosling, who was in the middle of his hot streak. He would go on to do First Man after this, and before that he had directed La La Land, my beloved La La Land. And I loved his performance as Kay. He kind of starts out as kind of more of what you would expect a replicant to be, more prone to obeying his human masters. But by the end, he has explored the full range of his emotions, let's just say. Smaller roles like Dave Batista are really good. Like, Dave Batista, there are some people who are like, oh, he's just Drax, what do you know? His whole thing where he's like, you've never seen a miracle being born. It's like, it's really, really good stuff. There's also Ana de Armas, who pretty much has to play a projection. And yet she had more soul than I think I could remember seeing in any performance in 2017. Robin Wright is also really good as Inspector Joshi, and I just can't help but think of All Japan Women's when I hear her say Joshi. And then there's Harrison Ford. Now, people like to say that Harrison Ford has really phoned in the last few years of his career, and I could certainly understand why people have that sentiment, and I've cracked a joke or two about him, but I gotta admit, the few scenes that he does have, he does very well. I thought it was very cool of him, no matter how big the paycheck was. I thought it was cool for him to come back to this role and see it through to the end, even with everything that happened, with the original cut being not what he wanted, just everything in between. I loved it that he came back to see this character through to the end. Wallace, played by Jared Leto, the few scenes that he has, is suitably weird, but really the real villain of the movie is Love, played by Sydney Hoeks. I hope I'm saying that right. Like, she is downright brutal in this movie. Like, she basically, like I said, the robots seem to have more soul than the humans do, but her soul has been well corrupted. And, well, she has no concern for her fellow replicant kind, let's just say. But what I love about 2049 is that it capitalizes on the themes presented from the original Blade Runner. Specifically, what is presented with the villain, Roy Batty, played by the late Rutger Hauer, may he rest in peace. You get the sense that Roy Batty is not, when you get right down to it, he's not a bad robot, per se. He does bad things, but at the end of the day, when he does his epic Tears in the Rain monologue, he longs for something more. He knows that he was meant to be a slave, but something inside him longs to take that next step. It's never explained what it is, but it's about taking that next step, whatever it is. If anything, that theme is more exacerbated in 2049, as these new replicants are meant to be more obedient towards the human race. However, Kay longs to have something more than just his primary objectives. Like, he wants to have a physical relationship with Joy. He knows that Joy is just a projection, but he wants more than that. He gets angry. He feels these complex human emotions. And for a robot, it's like the lines just blur. There's a line in this movie from Inspector Joshi that is super telling, where she tells Kay, "You've done well enough without one for this long." And Kay turns around and he's like, "What's that?" And she's like, "A soul." I believe that throughout 2049, Kay is growing a soul. Not at a rapid rate, but throughout. To the point that the more he learns about Deckard and Rachel and just everything that happened leading up to now, it's like that scene in The Grinch where his heart grows 3 sizes. And I may be looking too deep into it, but what I love about this movie is that it takes what's presented in the original Blade Runner and adds more questions in there, and in the good sense. There's a feeling of desperation on the human side, because they think to themselves, if these robots get souls, then we're basically screwed. But if you watch this movie, keep in mind that the theme throughout is these robots, by our design, have more soul in them than us humans. And if you keep that in mind, you'll do fine. And at the end of the day, Blade Runner 2049 is about as good a sequel to Blade Runner as we will probably ever get. If the original Blade Runner's here, then like 2049's like here. They're like neck and neck with each other in terms of quality. I love this movie, and I'm gonna try and watch it more often because it's that good. But that is it. That is the end of this review and the end of my Villeneuve series. It's been quite a journey to go through Denis' filmography up to this point. What's going to happen with Dune? I really don't know. I actually saw the trailer as part of a YouTube ad this morning, and that trailer looks amazing. So whatever happens, I have a feeling it's probably going to be good. The last time I did a director series like this, it was Christopher Nolan, and Tenet turned out to be kind of not great, so hopefully Dune is really good. But I still had a lot of fun talking about these movies, and hopefully you had fun along right with me. Now that my Villeneuve series is firmly in the books, if you haven't been able to tell by my decor, it's about to be Scary Mania season. I'm going to be reviewing 31 horror movies in 31 days, and I am looking forward to / dreading that challenge. However, I feel more than up to it, and hopefully you all will have fun, spooky time with me. But if you like this video, please be sure to leave a like, comment your thoughts down below, and if you like this video and you want to see more like it, hit the subscribe button and click the bell to allow notifications. That way when a new video drops, you'll be the first to know about it. My name is Ryan Cam. I'll see you in the next one.